Hello. Welcome to the Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 365. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. And this is a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
I have a Mimi in my lap.
Yeah, you do.
And it makes me so happy. I picked her up. She was very reluctant.
Mm-hmm.
And she tried to escape 3 times.
Mm-hmm. But
I didn't let her. And now she seems pretty happy.
Yeah, she's dozing off.
So I think she finally accepted that this is life.
Well, it probably helps that you did the butt scratchies.
I did some butt scratchies. I did some neck scratchies.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just petting her butt.
Mm-hmm.
And she's happy as a clammy.
I want you to know that her Christmas present, I checked the tracking, and all it says is, the carrier hasn't updated tracking recently. Contact them for more info. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's fucked.
So, I don't know. Hopefully they'll be here soon.
Yeah.
What are we tutoring about?
All right. We're going to talk about...
Tutor about.
We're going to tutor about paying for good help.
Paying for good help. Okay.
Yeah. So, over the years, I've hired people at we've hired people at minimum wage.
Yeah.
All the way up to, people, couple few $100s an hour sort of deal. But mainly, like, in my business currently, what I've learned is in, like, the construction world, there seems to be, I think, like 5 different types. Mm-hmm. Okay. You got your, like, newbie beginner, right? Mm-hmm. That just goes and works for someone. Okay. Then you have, like, your skilled contractor who's been doing it forever, who also works for someone.
Right.
Okay. Then, or like works for a company. Then you have your drug addict, which can be actually either of those, both 2 things I mentioned. Plus, the drug addict can also be their own contractor. Okay. Those are pretty common. Drug addicts in construction.
Oh, yeah.
Your 4th one is your, like, contractor who runs their own business, does their own thing, charges their, like, high rate. Okay. And then there's, like, a 5th one, and this is the one I focused on, was finding good guys who want to be 1099, who've done their own thing, mm-hmm. who've done the whole construction world. They've done all the estimates. They've charged the higher prices, or they've charged the prices. They've done those things, but they found that their favorite thing to do is construction.
Like just work.
It's just work. They already have their truck. They already got all their tools. They have all that shit already. And so they're like, well, I don't want to go work for someone and use their shit. That's not the stuff that I bought and I like. I like to work on my own terms, mm-hmm. but I don't want to have to work until 7 o'clock every night doing estimates and paperwork and shit like that, right? Has she had enough?
I can't tell.
I can't tell either.
I think she just wants to put her head down, but...
Okay.
Yep, now she's had enough.
She's had enough. Good job. Thank you, baby. Thank you. That was so fun.
Okay, anyways.
All right, sorry about that. Mimi got sick of having to hold her own head up. So they just want to work, but they don't want to be an employee. Mm. And that's where I lean to finding, because those guys understand, and they know, like, hey, if we went and found our own jobs and did that shit, we could charge more. But we don't want to do that, so we'll just we'll do less because we just get to go and do our thing, right?
Right. All they have to do is report their hours.
Right. So that's where I leaned in. And what I found is I've tried the guys who are like new. I've tried the new cheap guys who maybe have a couple years experience, who are doing some side work, or who decide to go on their own because they want to be an entrepreneur after only doing construction for a year or two, thinking they have the knowledge and skill set to go out on their own. And that fails. Like almost every time that fails. You know what I'm saying? And I've tried those people like that, and it doesn't work out because their skill set's not there. Even though you're paying them half of what I pay my guys now, it's like
it's just the time part of it.
They don't have the experience.
Yeah, and they take longer to do everything. They ask more questions. So it wouldn't be a bad thing necessarily if we were like prepared for it or wanted it. But when we're trying to get jobs done as fast as possible,
right,
and as efficiently as possible, then it's just an inconvenience.
Yep. And then I've tried the cheap crackhead route. Mm-hmm. Tried that quite a bit. I got to a point. I had hired, a number of crackheads, and it wasn't working. And I got referred a guy, and he showed up to work. And he was there working, and I could tell first day that this guy either hits the drugs hard or hits the booze hard. And I say, hey, I need you here tomorrow. We're hanging drywall. I need a hand hanging drywall. Well, next day comes, I don't hear from this guy until 11 a.m. I'm messaging him. Finally, he responds at like 1 or 2 with some bullshit excuse. At that point, I had already hired cheap crackheads, and this is what this guy was. And I was like, I'm over it, dude. I just messaged him back. I'm like, you'll never fucking work for me. I'm not doing this shit. I'm like, I'll meet you to pay you for your day and get you your tools. I can't handle that shit anymore. Mm-hmm. I can't, it's not worth it.
No.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
And so now, I found guys with experience, mm-hmm. Who want to work under a general. And it works for me great because that's what I want. Mm-hmm. I don't want, if we're slow, I don't want to have to keep these guys busy, which it happens. And so then they go do some odd and end jobs for other people or whatever they want until we got work again. And it's nice. And then we don't got to worry about all the bullshit of workers' comp and shit like that.
Right. Yeah, I think of it like how, these guys, we met them at the perfect time. And it was the exact same as the very first duplex we got. We happened to hit up this guy who had been in the rental business for long enough, just had to evict some tenants, and the whole one unit needed to be renovated. And he was just done. He was over it. Mm-hmm. And so he just sold it to us for a really cheap price. And so I think of it like that because we got these contractors because we met them at the right time, and they were over having to go meet with customers for estimates, right, and invoicing and all the extra stuff that comes, mm-hmm, with doing your own projects. Mm-hmm. They were just over it. They mm-hmm. just wanted to be able to be told where to go, when to be there, what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And so it's just one of those things where we just happen to have really great timing with it.
Right.
And there's a lot of those guys out there.
Yeah, dude.
Especially very experienced in not even in our world, because we've talked to Bernie. He was contracted out through other companies because or through his old job
Mm-hmm.
because he was so experienced in his field that they're just like, we'll just contract you out to come in for a little bit of time.
Yeah, he was a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
And he just his knowledge and stuff, they would contract him to come in and help and advise and stuff. I see that all over the place. There's this like story about a tech, a guy that works on equipment, right? And he gets called. It's like a Friday night. He gets called, hey, machine's down, which means the whole line's down. If this whole operation is down all weekend until Monday, like we're losing $100,000 a day or whatever, right? And the mechanic shows up, takes a look at the machine. He takes and hits a part of the equipment, and it fires back up, right? And on the invoice, or the guy said, the guy sent him a bill for like $20,000, right? And the company sends back, could you please send us an itemized receipt as to why this is $20,000? You were there for only a few minutes. And the guy sends back in the thing, service call out to whatever, and it was like $50. Diagnosis of the machine, $100. Knowing where to hit the machine to get it to run again, $19,000, $850.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so true in the realm of your experience and your knowledge over all those years building up, you have something to supply the world. I talked to Mike about this because Mike is he's talking about the idea of like how many more like years is he going to work, right, before he retires. I talked to him about like, have you thought about becoming an inspector, home inspector? And he's like, I have, because he's got all the experience with talking to customers, invoicing, billing, all that shit, right? He's got 20 years of experience. He knows what he's looking at, right? And so all he'd have to do is take the course and do the stuff. And he's like, yeah, I have thought about it. He doesn't know if that's what he wants to do. He doesn't really want to start a new business over again, which is part of the reason he still works with us. But it's like, if you have that knowledge and those skill sets, you could then go into your retirement, or like as you want to slow down, that's not so like taxing on the body, but still pays the bills. Yeah. And it's all because you built that knowledge and that skill set. Like, he knows how to run a business. He knows everything he needs to know about inspecting a home. He just has to keep up with licensing. Yeah. So, but anyways, all the skill sets, it correlates to everything. Like every business, every career.
I mean, it goes back to the 80-20 rule, or the 90, be the 10%.
Be the 10%.
So like these guys like are, I would say, close to the 10%.
Yeah.
Because they've dedicated the time to being professionals in their profession.
Yeah. I would say they're like, depending on their skills, most of them are 10% with certain of their skills.
Yeah. They definitely, they each have their traits that they're better at than other ones.
Yeah. You're like, damn. Yeah. But yeah, it's what I learned, and I've learned this the hard way. It's better to pay people who know what they're doing, who are efficient at what they're doing. One, to learn from them. Because Mike's gone on multiple estimates with me to show me like what I should be looking for. I've had him walk through multiple flips. After we get them, multiple flips, to go like, hey, what are you seeing here that I'm not? What do we need to do? The guys, most of the time, will go to a job and tell us the material list we need. They'll go and say, yep, these are all the materials we're going to need. Get them here. Awesome. And so like that right there cuts out a ton of time and a ton of like potential lost income on jobs, because when you learn this shit going through it with the people that have experience, well, then I know what to look for when I'm walking through another place, you know? And I can't tell you how many times like going through something with the guys that they go, hey, Shaun, look at this. This is something you got to think about. This, something you got to think about. This, something you got to think about. And then when I like go to get the next project, I'm looking at that. Like the best example I can give is C-channel on a roof. I went and I looked at a roof and it had this interesting like drip edge and fascia. And I was like, oh, damn, this thing only got one layer of shingles. Awesome. Well, this one layer of shingles is pretty bad, so we're going to need new layer of shingles. It's 13 square. This is going to be cheap. Like, you know, it's going to be a $6,000 roof. Easy. Get our guys down there with the shingles. No, get our guys down there and shingles are going to get there the next day. They call me. Shaun, did you know this is C-channel? I said, I don't even know what the fuck C-channel is. And they sent me a picture. And I was like, this isn't good. What it is that C-channel covers up like 3 to 4 layers of shingles plus cedar shake. And then you got your shingles on top. So we had to have 4 layers of shingles, a layer of cedar shakes pulled off, new decking put down, and then reshingled. And so a roof that was supposed to be like $5,000, $6,000 ended up being like $12,000. Maybe it was more, I don't remember. But it was like, okay, yes, I bought it, but when I bought it, the contractor called me, showed me what was going on, and guess what? I haven't bought another place like that. I know. We've looked at multiple.
Yeah, we have looked at multiple, and then we've taught like real estate agents.
Realtors, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just things that like. So
the other cool thing about paying for good people is they're problem solvers.
A lot of the time, absolutely.
Yeah. With our first house, Robin Road, when we moved into this one, we had one of our guys just working on a lot of the fixes that needed to be, or projects that needed to be finished at that house.
Yeah.
And there's one problem area that Shaun and I had no clue how to fix. And even Mike didn't even really know how to fix it, but he worked on everything else and just thought about it as he worked there. And then one day it came to him and he figured it out and did a great job at making it look decent.
Didn't even fucking... No, it looked great. It looked like it was meant to be. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Why didn't... Like, we should have had you come in fucking 2 years ago and do this. And it's also like higher... Like, same thing. We had Denise come and stage that place. And she staged it and we're like...
Why didn't we have our furniture this way?
Like, we didn't even know we could have... Like, this place would have been able to... We would have been able to utilize the space so much better had we had someone come in and tell us how we can utilize the space.
Yeah.
So it's... There's definitely something about, like, paying for shit. And, you know, another thing is, like, when we call an attorney, $250 an hour, you were never on the phone with them longer than, like, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They don't like they're like boom 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 answer the questions, follow up with any things we might not be thinking of. Maybe you have a total of like a 5 to 10 minute conversation, and then they're off moving on because they don't want to sit there and jaw jack on the phone with you and charge you $250 just to have a conversation. And it's awesome, and you get your answers you need to know, and you paid $40 for it, but you got your answers in 5 minutes.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely worth paying.
Yeah, I think so. I've through my personal experience, you know, not that I spent 8 years in business. My personal experience is it's better to pay for better help. They're more efficient. They can problem solve. They have more skills than it is to hire someone for cheaper who doesn't have those qualities.
I will say, because you gotta always have the devil's advocate. The most expensive is not always the best either.
I'll tell you what. It's not even close. I can't tell you the amount of fucking projects we see contractors do that I know their bill and I'm like, you guys fucking suck. Mm-hmm. By no means is the most expensive mean the best quality at all. It's also a lot of like learning people's character and like spending time with them and shit, which is difficult to do. It all comes down to like building relationships.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And finding out as you build relationships, like who's good at what, who charges what, how do they charge, why do they charge, shit like that.
How do they work?
Right.
Yeah. Because like we've talked about it. We have 2 teams of 2, and we kind of have to treat them. We do treat them very differently because 2 guys like just a task list of things, and the other 2 like to be kind of like more explained and go more in depth.
Yeah. I mean, it's just different.
And then we got Dan, who's just like, oh, whatever.
Just does everything.
I
say, I don't know, fix it. And he's like, all right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dan's gangster. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun, dude. It's cool. It's just that, over time, you learn this shit. Mm-hmm. And you implement it. And, our payroll is a lot higher. But, not our payroll, but our, like, whatever line item that would be. Contractor expense.
Yeah.
Whatever. Is higher. But the income we receive definitely offsets it.
Yeah.
And then we get a good reputation.
Yeah, I mean, most of our jobs have been word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So, referrals, not a whole lot of... I mean, we don't do a whole lot of advertising. So, it's a lot of referrals, and people speak very highly of us and our quality and stuff.
One thing we did was, Josh and Audrey, when we first got started in 2020, told us that in a hot market, you can sell, like in a hot market, anything will sell. Maybe it was 2021. Josh and Audrey in 2021? Mm-hmm. Yeah, coaching in 2021. Yeah. They said in a hot market, anything will sell. No worries, easy. Anything will sell. You don't got to do that good of a job, whatever. They said in a slow market, you have to separate yourself from others. You have to have nice finishes. It has to be staged. It has to be move-in ready. You should pre-inspect it, mm-hmm. so that people, that's one thing that's out of the way. And so they're like, you should do these things that really separate yourself, because that's what they focused on, because they did a lot of their flipping in a slow market. Mm-hmm. 2012, 13, 14, 15. So like they're like, this is how you can be successful in a slow market, because they did it. So in 2021, when things were going like hotcakes and you could just do anything to sell a thing, me, you, and Kyle, we all chatted and stuff, and we're like, we're just gonna spend time getting good quality. Mm-hmm. We're gonna learn how to provide the best product up front. Like, that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make it a standard. We're going to make it a thing. And then when we get to when it gets to a slow time, we're going to be ready for it. So did we make as much as we could have in the first 2.5 years? Fuck no, not at all. There was actually times when we were like, we are losing money because we are going the extra mile. Like, mm-hmm. This is stupid. We should not do this, but we did it anyways. But as things have slowed down the last 6 months,
we haven't had any issues selling.
No issues. Everything still sells within 10 days. Mm-hmm. We get close to asking for everything. Some have even gone a little above lately. Mm-hmm. And so it's just one of those things. Like it goes back to like worry about solving people's problems, or worry about providing the best product over making money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've done. That's what we do. That's how we live, is we try to provide the best thing we can, and we're not focused on money. We just know money's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the caveat to that is like, I don't make decisions that don't have the return attached to it. Like, I have strict numbers.
Yeah, we don't like just buy flips to keep our guys busy.
Yeah. And I don't take jobs where we don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we're doing jobs, we're at least paying for the business to run.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we have to profit on every job? No. Do we actually lose a little bit on some jobs? Sure. But like, we go into things to at least make the business run and not take a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
I see this. I see a lot of flippers. Like, there's big flippers online who are like, oh, if you're not losing money on flips, then you're not doing enough volume, because you should be losing money on some flips to know like what your numbers need to be. And I'm like, why do I need to do that? Like, if I know I'm going to lose money on it, why do it? Just to do it? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But there's like big guys who are like, you should take an L one in every 10 projects or whatever. You should lose money one every 10 projects.
I mean, we qualify like losses as us not making as much as we thought. Because like we've had a couple projects that like have taken longer than we planned, or like we put higher.
These guys lose money.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, our losses would be those ones that we are like, okay, like we made only like we made 75% less than what we expected,
right,
because we decided to put higher end finishes in it,
right,
or it took too long, or something happened.
Right.
That's what I would count as our losses.
That is what our losses are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know. I think though, I mean, I understand what they're saying about like, if you do enough volume, you will like, because a lot of these guys do like lipstick flips, do like small margins.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll buy like something at 10% off value minus rehab, and get into a rehab, and then the furnace is out, and then you lose your profit,
right,
you know, which we don't I don't want a business that big where we have to do that much volume, where we're doing like deals that are questionable.
Yeah.
I would rather that's exactly why we switched to customer work.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's not switch, but that's why we added customer work, because we were looking at so many deals, and I was like, I probably looked at like 10 deals, and they were all tight, like too tight for my liking. And I was just like, we've been getting calls about customer jobs. If I'm going to just break even on hourly, I would rather just break even on hourly in materials than lose money, or like have the chance of losing money. So when we don't have like good deals, well, we'll just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, do we have as much upside? No, but we really cut out major downside.
Oh yeah.
So,
and it's been nice just because then we're constantly getting money flowing in, and not just putting in, and then getting a whole big payout.
Gang, if any of you flipped, done rentals, whatever, you know what it's like to just pour fucking money in and in and in and in. And you're like, am I ever going to get this back? I didn't realize, like, we finally, because we got all of our flips sold and just booked out customer work before the election. And it was like the first time ever that we had our money out of our business, or like
Out
out
of
of
any
business
business.
that's starting since I was 21 years old, 22 years old. So yeah, 8 years in whatever the fuck. 7 years? Have I only been in business 7 years?
You started shortly after we started dating.
I was 22. June of my 22nd year.
So 7.5.
7.5 years. Damn, dude. I'm young.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah. And like also think about it too, like not just putting money in, like putting time and not getting paid for your time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was like...
That was the big majority of the first.
Yes. And that's how probably most businesses will be, if you're not in like the flipping realm.
Right.
Counting your time as money as well.
But yeah, then I get to, the last month and we got all of our funds back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got money. And I didn't know we had money. Because it was always like deployed.
Yeah. I mean, we just have had so many big projects back to back to back.
Huge.
And so we would get money from one project and put it into the next. Get money from one project and put it to the next. So we didn't have a project to put it in. And we were like, oh, we actually just like had all this money that was just kind of tumbleweeding down the road. So it's cool.
Now that we have it and we accounted for it, now we can start it's a nice thing to have that like clean sweep to look at what we got and go, okay, this is how we're going to use it. This is how we're going to deploy it. We're going to start funding flips and shit. This is what we're looking to get to put it into, whatever.
This really isn't going on.
I don't even give a fuck, dude.
Okay, cool.
But I know what you're saying. It's not going on paying at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling people. At this point, dude, I'm just telling you about real estate. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
About flipping, running, whatever. I don't know. I'm just
keep going.
Talking on my ass at this point. What do you got?
I don't know. Just exactly what you've been saying. It's just kind of it's the first time that I feel like we've actually been like successful almost. Not saying like success should be just based off of money, but being able to like see that we have progressed so much in 7 years, like getting all the money out has like shown me that like, okay, like we've been able to progress multiple businesses to the point where now they're sustainable and we don't have to provide funds for them anymore.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
So it was very validating to like finally get that last bit of money out.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
I was going so much of my life was like, I want like to get to paid back so that my businesses aren't in debt.
Mm-hmm. Granted,
they're in debt to me, but like I was like, God, I want them to not be in debt. I want them to be like a self-sustaining organism.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they are out of debt, now it's like we really are just we're just the bank now.
Mm-hmm.
We're the bank for funding deals.
Yeah.
We're the private money,
mm-hmm.
which that's what I wanted to do. That's where I wanted to be.
It's just so cool because I like didn't think about, like I never thought we weren't successful, but it was just a kind of a way to validate that we actually do know what we're doing.
Debatable.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's something. But so, yeah, I'll recap and I'll explain a couple things. Going through those times and learning that it's better to pay for good help. Now that we've had these guys for some time, we've learned who they are. They've kind of learned who we are, and we know how to work together, things like that. It's like the day-to-day stuff I don't have to worry about. We got 2 different style fucking trims finished. Who did the fucking idiots in this old ass house? Look up top.
Mm-hmm.
I've known that forever, and today it's just like, God damn it, bothering me. But anyways, buy a house fucking that multiple people just hodgepodge rehab on and then live in it. It irritates the shit out of you. But so what that allowed us to do was now, like, our day-to-day functions, we still have mistakes. There's still areas where we lose money, but the overwhelming majority is it gets done. Like, we don't have to question it. It gets done. It makes us money. Sometimes it loses us money. Maybe 20% of the time it loses us money on something, but like 80%, it way outweighs it. But what does that allow? That allows us to focus on other things. And so, like, I was talking to Ryan about this weekend. Like, now that our guys, like, now that we're comfortable with our guys doing the day-to-day work, it's like, okay, well, so I'll focus a little more on sales. You're focusing on efficiency. So, like, the smoke detector thing, Menards used to carry this brand of smoke detectors that was $10 a smoke detector and $15 of carbon monoxide. And we got to put these in every flip we do, every unit turnover we do, and actually a lot of customer projects we do. And so Menards now carries a new line that's $30 a smoke detector and $45 a carbon monoxide. So they went up by 3 times. And so, yes, it's a small thing, but when you're talking every flip we do, we got to use 4 of these things, whatever. Amazon carries the same brand Menards used to. That's still the $10 a unit or the $15 a unit. And so it's like, now that's the kind of shit we're looking at, and like that you can focus on is that thing. And you can look over the hours and materials and everything we have into a project and go, hey, was this the smartest shit we could have done here? Did we really need to do this? Why did we do this? This was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Why did we put this expensive ass sink in this shitty rental?
Dude, yeah. Like, why the fuck did we spend $800 on a vanity for a house that's going to sell for $120,000? How did that make sense?
That didn't actually happen, but it's
right. Just examples. No, I mean, the ones that, this sink in particular was going in a $380,000 house, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can't bitch about that. But it's things where it's like, now that's a day-to-day stuff. A lot of the day-to-day, like, boots on the ground is executing well. Obviously we're going to keep tweaking it to make it better.
Yeah. And
more systems to, like, make that better. But, like, now we're slowly ticking, like, today, Kyle and I went out to meet with a customer, went over, like, everything we need for the job coming up in 2 weeks, all the materials, everything we need, all the contractors reached out to, everything, right? When it's like the customer didn't know what kind of lights, what kind of recessed lights they want. They didn't know the kind of sink they want. And there was one other thing. No. Yeah, those 2 things, yeah. And then where to get their floor and where to get their paint. And so it's like, one of the things now that we're doing is what's the list of the recessed lights we like? What's the list of the sinks we like? What's the list of the things, the fans, whatever, like the main things we know that we're going to need customers to pick out. We have a list of that, so we can just send the links.
So, like, we can just ask them, like, because it's basically going to be a design portfolio.
Right.
So we'll have, like, 2 for rentals, probably.
Yep.
A grayscale one and a tan one. And those will just be for every unit turn, every rental we fix up. Like, they'll get those 2 options.
Yep.
And then, like, for customers, like, for bathrooms, you could be like, okay, do you want black, oil rubbed bronze, brushed nickel, or chrome?
Yep.
And then we can just send them, like, okay, these are your options. If you want to choose your own, like, you have to get it to us by this date, and it'll cost this much extra.
Yep.
Or you have to go purchase it yourself.
Right. Yep.
Just so then it's, because right now we're just spending a lot of time, like, picking stuff out for people and then confirming with them if they like it, and it's a lot of wasted time on our hands. But yeah, so we're just gonna make a design portfolio to make it easier for us and customers.
Right. And so, like, you know, what that does then is day-to-day operation is good. Now we've got that design portfolio, so it's going to make me doing estimating quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to make it easier when we get flips to know, like, hey, this is the materials we choose from. We don't have to go like, what should we put in this house? What should we do here? It's like, no, you just fucking hit the design list. How many fans we need?
Mm-hmm.
How many? You know, what's the kitchen size? You know what? All that shit, and then it's just done.
Because we'll like have all the SKUs set and ready too. So you just copy and paste the SKU, put your quantity in, done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something like we can pay someone $20 an hour to do instead of $40 an hour to do.
Right.
So yeah, it's just making like little efficiencies like that, which is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's not the end of the year, there's just lots of bullshit at the end of the year.
Lots of bullshit at the end of the year. But yeah, I think that's probably maybe could recap it.
Yeah.
Or could.
So paying good help.
Paying good help, which helps it helps things get done faster, at a higher quality. There's problem solving, less stress on you. Good reputation.
Mm-hmm.
There's the only downside is it costs a little more. And I guess the other thing, some people, like if you got an ego, I work with these guys and they're all smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tell them that. I'm like, I'm an idiot. You guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, I love when they're like, well, how do you think we should do this? I'm like, I'm not the carpenter.
Yeah.
You guys are.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, the only time I ever felt smarter than these dudes is when we were doing a fucking steel roof. Other than that, I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what to do.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if you got an ego, dude, I mean, that's tough with anything, right? Like, if you have an ego, you're going to have a hard time working with people better than, like, I see it all the time, dude. I've never like had an ego like that where I've not wanted to ask people their advice, like,
right,
or whatever. If I'm really running into something, I'll just message people smarter than me. Hey, what do you think? I'm dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Help me. Whatever.
Right.
You know this better than me because I'm dumb.
Right. Use your resources.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's hiring better people is only a benefit, like in my book. But like everything else, they have to be vetted. You have to build relationships. I prefer not to hire these people. Why? If any of the guys wanted to be hired now, I'd hire them. But why I don't like to in the beginning, you don't know who they're actually going to be.
Yeah.
I've gotten referrals from reputable sources, and the people have turned out to be fucking dog shit.
I mean, we've even like had some guys that did great work on the first 1, 2, 3 jobs, and then it just plummets.
But when you work with somebody for a year, you get to see who these people are. Mm-hmm. When you get to work with someone for a year, then you don't have to worry about firing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go through a few projects and they're not doing a good job and they're just an independent contractor that you're hiring, gone.
Yep.
Get a new one. But yeah, if you like, and the other thing is like, if you see that they're good character, they've got good skills, but maybe they're lacking in some areas, like maybe they're lacking in promptness, maybe they're lacking in attention to detail. You don't gotta fire them. You just go, hey guys, these are a couple places that I noticed that we're lacking. Mm-hmm. What can we do to get better? And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I love that you're great at fucking everything else.
Right.
I need you to have a little attention to detail. Or like, hey, if we're doing drywall, could you please show up when drywall's getting delivered? Because I need help lifting the fucking drywall. Mm-hmm. You know? But like, back to the thing of like, even if you're paying them more, the vetting process is so necessary, because we've tried hiring people that have higher rates. Hired one dude. And he was like, my rate is this. And it was like 10 to 20% higher than I pay most of my guys. And I'm like, I was very honest with him. I was like, I do not usually pay people this much. Like, because it fucks up my numbers, what I charge. But I was like, I'm willing to try you out. They did a fair job. You know, they did an all right job. But I was like, sorry, not going to be able to keep working together.
Yeah, your work isn't 10 to 20% higher than everyone else's.
And that's exactly it. So, like, when I hired them and the price was that, I was like, you know, I don't usually do this, but I'm willing to try you out. Because if they were 10 to 20% more effective, then it would have warranted the extra pay. But they were like 20 to 30% less effective. But you got to think, when I'm trying these people out, and this is another very key point, I never try these people out on big projects. Always do I try them out on like $1,000, a $2,000, under $5,000.
And we also try not to do it on
customer jobs. Like never on customer jobs.
We've had to a couple times, but they were vetted pretty well. We required them to show us, like walk us, bring us to previous projects that they've done, show us the previous projects, and stuff, so that we knew that like we could trust them going into a customer's job. But yeah, we try them out on flips. We try them out with like low price things on what they claim they can do. Because if they can't do what they claim they can do, well, they're sure as fuck not going to be able to do the things that they say they're all right at doing. Right. And you don't want to pay someone or hire someone to do 3,500 square feet of mudding and taping and texturing.
Fuck. No.
And then if they do a shitty job, you have to get it either redone and you have to pay them a fuck ton for it. Yeah,
dude. I mean, if I got someone who wants to do drywall, I'll have them do a bathroom.
Yeah.
And it'll cost me money, like, because my guys can do a bathroom just fine, drywalling, but I'll have some new people do it just so I can see what it looks like, because it's a small room, and worst case we can redo it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I rarely will I be like, yeah, go hog wild on a whole house. Yeah. So, but anyways, that's kind of how I do things. It's worked out pretty well for us so far. By no means am I an expert. By no means am I the best around. But we're getting better.
That's the point of business. Getting better.
Got anything else?
Nope.
All right, gang. Have a wonderful new year. And set some big goals. And actually follow through with some of them.
You know this is like coming out after New Year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Could be like 2 days after New Year.
No, this one is Monday.
Oh. Okay. Happy New Year and get some shit done.
There we go.
Peace.
See ya.